that the sun shines down its power to all the world and makes the wind blow strong as it will. I want to hope gentle rains can fall upon the land, so lovely earth can stay lovely still. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 558th edition of Energy Week with George Harvey and Tom Fennell. Tom is not here again today. The program today is recorded on the 8th of August. And let me get this. There we go. The program today is being recorded on the 8th of August. It starts on the 1st of August. And it is being taken from articles that are at my blog. You may be able to find a set of articles at the site that is in the description for the program. And if you do, you'll find 21 articles, which is what the program has. Otherwise, you can go to my blog, geoharvey.com, and take a look at the articles, which are the easiest way to get to them is to click on the date. We're starting on the 1st of August, and then look through the 15 or so articles that are there for that date. The dates that we're doing are the 1st of August through the 7th, today being the 8th of August. So, having said that, let's start at the first article. This is from the Sierra Club. We have a picture of wind turbines. There is a city, I believe, in the foreground, or a town, but I don't know where it is. The title of this article is, "Can Markets Stop the Climate Crisis?" And the synopsis says, in 2020, the IEA, which is the International Energy Agency, which is part of the UN, declared that solar power had become, quote, the cheapest electricity in history, end quote. In 2024, renewable energy has still not supplanted fossil fuels. This is the paradox at the heart of Brett Christopher's new book, The Price is Wrong: Why Capitalism Won't Save the Planet. And this is something that I've been giving some thought to for quite some while, because solar electricity has been cheapest for perhaps longer than since 2020. But it is in the United States, we're still building a small amount of natural gas powered power plants. In China and India both, they are still building coal powered power plants, despite what you might think would be the obvious thing to do. It is a paradox. And I believe that it's true. Capitalism is not going to save the planet. I don't think socialism is either. What we need is a different solution. And I do think that it will be developed. Okay, the next article that we have has a photograph of a fire. This is the Park Fire in California. This is from ABC News. The title of the article is "One Dead in New Colorado Blaze as Containment Expanded on Huge California Fire." California firefighters battling the largest active wildfire blaze in the nation made notable progress on containing it, but still have a long way to go before it is put out. The Park Fire in Northern California grew into the 5th largest wildfire in the state's history. The reference to Colorado in the title is a reference to the Stone Canyon fire, which is burning about 20 miles north of Boulder, Colorado. I don't know. I don't remember how many fires there are in the West right now, but there's a lot. And these are just two of them. The Park Fire is a major fire. It's one of the biggest, well, it was the 5th largest in California history. And that's what it was on last Thursday when this was recorded. I don't know what it is now, but they have largely contained it. They may have contained it entirely by now. Okay, our next picture, our next picture is of a woman, kind of a pretty woman who I don't think I'd want to get into an argument with looking at her. She looks like she would be able to tear an opponent apart. This is from ABC News. The title is I'm sorry, this is not from ABC News. This is from Fast Company. How this Nebraska activist is making sure rural America gets in on the renewable energy boom. Nebraska-based activist Jane Klebe believes rural America is where the nation's green future will be built. She just wants to make sure that rural Americans are engaged, compensated, and celebrated during this massive infrastructure transition. Now, the thing that's funny about this is Jane Klebe and I don't see I didn't see a reference to this in the article, and maybe there was one and I just missed it. But I always try to do a little bit of extra research when I do these articles. And what I found here is Jane Klebe is the chair of the Nebraska Democratic Party. And yeah, I don't think I would want to get into an argument with her, but yeah, I don't think I would have to. She's had quite a lot of background in activist things. Her husband has a political background as well. He's a businessman, but he has that background. Okay, we're up to Friday, August 2nd, and we have a picture of a power plant, wind power plant. Oh, wait a minute. Ah, there we go. Sorry about that. We have a picture of a Power County wind farm in Idaho. This is from Clean Technica, and the title is Climate Action Under the Biden Administration. In 2020, Joe Biden ran for president on the most ambitious climate action platform of any major presidential candidate in U.S. history. As President Biden finishes his term, it's time to take stock of what his administration accomplished and what is still a work in progress and what is off track. And what I would say here is there's a lot in this article, but President Biden started with the most ambitious climate action platform in history, but it wasn't ambitious enough. We have a long ways to go before we're doing what we need to do. And in the meantime, the climate is, the world is warming up faster than we had imagined it would. There are people still today who will tell you, if you're willing to listen, that the climate action is not real, or that it isn't human caused, or that it is caused by the sun giving off warmer sunshine or something. That is, in many cases, powered by fossil fuels, putting money into the market and coming up with their own narratives. But the fact is, for 13 months in a row, each month was the hottest of that month in history. It happens that this last July was not the hottest July. The previous one was, but last month was the second hottest. And it was the second hottest month in history. It was very close to the heat of July of 2023. The last 10 years are the hottest 10 years in history. And anybody who is going to tell you that this isn't something to be concerned about, I think is, well, I'm going to keep the word to myself. But I think that it's not good, and we have to be prepared to deal with it. In fact, we have to deal with it. We cannot sit back and wait until whatever end happens to see what happens. We have to be ahead of this, and unfortunately, scientists are saying it's going to get hotter for at least 25 years. Once we absolutely stop producing carbon dioxide and methane and putting it into the atmosphere. And we have been increasing carbon dioxide and methane every year. And we've got a terrible problem on our hands, and we just have to deal with it. Okay, the next thing that we've got to deal with is we have a picture of offshore wind power. And this article is from Renews. The title is Consortium to Develop Chilean Offshore Project. UK-based 17 Energy and SC Power have unveiled the Viento Azul Bio, I think that's how this would be pronounced, consortium, which aims to develop Chile's offshore wind industry and support decarbonization of the electric network of that country. VAB aims to develop offshore wind projects that deliver tangible benefits to Chile. This is just another offshore project. And it's not an offshore project, really. It's a consortium that will produce offshore projects, plural. Chile is developing a lot of renewable energy, and it's interesting to see where that is going to go. The onshore wind, solar, just doing onshore energy is a big project, a set of projects going on in Chile. And the Chileans are looking to get as much energy as they can from renewables. And it is something that they're doing all over the country. In the north, where they've got big desert areas, they also have mines. And those mines, getting the mines powered is something that in many parts of the world, getting mines powered is something that happens best with renewable energy projects, because the mines are out in the middle of nowhere in most cases. So you have to send long transmission lines to get to them. And it's best to have that coming from local renewable energy. The cost of putting in the transmission lines might exceed the cost of putting in renewable energy in many cases. This is not unusual. In a place like Australia, for example, you might have a transmission line that runs for well over 100 miles to get to a community that has 150 people in it, and it's just not going to produce an economically viable result to have long transmission lines going for a population that's that small, especially now, because solar energy is the cheapest available. So it's what's happening in Australia is that renewable energy is being put in, and the old lines are being taken out. Just imagine having to fix a line that something happened with, and you've got 100 miles to look at to find out what went wrong. And meantime, a village out in the middle of the desert is cooking. It's not a pleasant thing to think about. Okay, our next item is from Renewable Energy Magazine. There we go. And the title is, this by the way is a new wave energy test facility. And what you're seeing here is what you see on the ocean and what you see under the ocean. And basically under the ocean, it's kind of hard to see anything, but you can see that there are lines that go to the ocean floor. The title is Legislation for $1 billion to Advance Marine Energy. The Marine Energy Technologies Acceleration Act should provide unprecedented levels of funding to the DOE's Water Power Technologies Office for Research and Development, demonstration projects, detailed resource potential mapping, workforce development, and better permitting processes. The article notes that nearly 40% of the people who live in the United States live near abundant marine energy resources. Now, these are energy resources that are really not used very much today. There are a few of them being used, but not really a lot of them. And there's a lot of development that can happen between now and wherever the country is going in the future. There are many ways that that wave energy and other marine energy can be developed. You can get energy from the up and down motion to the motion of the waves. In more than one way. You can get energy from the current. A current just constantly goes, and you can get energy from that. You can get energy from tides, and there are multiple ways of doing that. All of these should be investigated, and the best ones should be developed. Okay, we're up to Saturday, August 3rd. We have a picture of Kamala Harris. And the article comes from Clean Technica. The title is Environmentalists Think Kamala Harris May Go After Big Oil for Climate Crimes. Environmentalists want to hold big oil accountable and think Kamala Harris may make that happen if she's elected president. The basis for any prosecution would be the decades big oil and its fossil fuel companies have spent spreading climate disinformation. Now, I think it's basically accepted that the big oil has been spreading disinformation. How much disinformation? A lot. I keep coming back to Willie Soon, who, as a person who was putting up articles, papers in peer-reviewed journals, wrote over and over again about how things like the changes in sunlight might have caused climate change. And his articles were not put into magazines, I should say journals, that looked at climate change normally, climate journals, weather journals. They went into the astrophysics journals. And that gave him the advantage that it would be astrophysicists who were reviewing his papers in the journals. But the point is, he had been signing the applications to get the papers published, without indicating that he had been paid to write these articles. And he got almost $900,000, almost $1 million over the course of 9 years for doing this, without telling the journals that that's what he was doing. He didn't cheat on his taxes or anything like that, as far as I know. He just didn't tell the journals. And they were extremely upset when they discovered what he had been up to. This is a type of disinformation. And we've had lots of types of disinformation spread. And this has been going on for at least 60 years, 70 years. I don't know when it started, but I do know that scientists went to Lyndon Johnson and told him, this was probably when I was in high school, might have been in my first year in college or thereabouts, told him we have to do something. And the information that they got, that we got from the White House, didn't say anything. The next article tells you something of the possibility of cost. Here you have a picture of the AMOC, which is the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation. It's the Gulf Stream. The Gulf Stream goes north and east. It goes between Greenland and Ireland and so forth. It goes between Greenland and British Isles, between Greenland and the North Pole and Norway. It carries warm water up into that area, and that gives the British Isles their mild climate. And this article is from CNN. It says, the title, "A critical system of Atlantic Ocean currents could collapse as early as the 2030s, research suggests." This is not good. A vital system of Atlantic Ocean currents that influences weather across the world could collapse as soon as the 2030s, scientists suggest. And a collapse of the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation, or AMOC, would be catastrophic. You know, I want to tell you, I've been thinking about this. It's pretty scary, but I'm not sure the scientists are correct on this. And the reason I say that is because the thing that causes this current to work is the difference in temperature between the ocean in the Gulf of Mexico, in the Caribbean, and what it is at the North Pole. And with climate change, the North Pole is going to warm up, but so is the Gulf. So I'm not sure that this is going to collapse. I think that it might slow down. It might continue to slow down, and then it might speed up. I don't know. And in fact, I would say that what we are getting into as time goes on is less and less predicted material. We are, or last year, as I recall, we were at 1.68 degrees Celsius above what it had been, what it should be. And we were trying to stop it at 1.5. It sounds like we've passed 1.5. I don't know. But the 1.68 that we had last year should be raising extreme alarm bells. And I'm quite certain that it is in some cases. But we just have to see what happens. Okay. The next item I have is from ABC News. We have a picture here. This is a little bit of it's an unusual picture. A friend of mine told me, maybe I shouldn't use this picture because storm clouds are on the way. That's what it looks like in the distance. Well, maybe they are and maybe they aren't. And another thing that he hadn't noticed, but I did, is that in the foreground here, you see a reflection. That is, in the foreground, that is water. It did rain in this area, not very long before the photograph was taken. That doesn't mean that it's not a drought. And the picture indicates that there was a drought. Okay, as I said, this is from ABC News. The title is Extreme Heat, Bone-Dry Vegetation, and Human Misconduct Prob Intense Wildfire Season. It's only August, but wildfires have burned over 4.4 million acres, up 278% from last year. We'll get back to that. And the national, let me put the picture back up so that you can see it. The National Interagency Fire Center said this: record temperatures of prolonged heat waves have left many parts of the West with bone-dry vegetation. Okay. One thing that I should tell you is there are two things that I warn people about. One of them is percentages, and the other is efficiency. Whenever you hear the word percentage or the word efficiency, a flag should go up. And you should kind of think, you don't know what this means unless you know what it means. With efficiency, I asked a nuclear engineer how efficient the Vermont Yankee nuclear plant was. He said about 35%. All thermal plants are about 35%. It's the nature of thermal plants. It could be coal, natural gas, anything that is thermal. It's nuclear, but that's thermal, and so it's about 35%. I said, no, I won't accept that. And he asked me why, and I said, because you only use 2% of your fuel, and you're getting 35% efficiency out of 2% of your fuel. The reason you've got so much waste is because you only use 2% of the fuel. So you get 35% efficiency of 2% of the fuel. That's about 2/3 of 1%. And he looked at me and he said, yeah, if you want to look at it that way, that's the way it is. In this case, we're talking about up 278% from last year. We have to know what was last year like. What was last year from the previous year and the year before that, before we really start getting excited about the fact that it's up 278%. We don't know. Last year might have been down 300%. Well, it wouldn't be 300%, it would be 75%. Let's put it that way. If it fell 75% a year before that, then being up 278% still doesn't bring you to 100%. Does that make sense? Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either. Okay, Sunday, August 4th, we have a picture of a solar power plant, and I have to find my cursor. There it is. The solar farm, this is from oilprice.com. The title is Global Demand for Renewable Energy is Set to Surge. New reports show that renewable energy demand is expected to soar in the coming years as countries undergo green transitions. The global energy demand is expected to increase in line with growth of population, industrialization, and the rise in such complex technologies as artificial intelligence. Now, we're back to the first article that we had. Is capitalism going to solve our problems? And in that article, we were looking at the problem being that capitalism wants a profit. It's trying to get a profit. It's not trying to provide the best product at the lowest price to everybody. It's trying to get a profit. In this particular case, the transition is going to come when it comes. I don't know. I've seen the question of prices surging and things like that many times, and I just don't know what to say. We'll hope that they're right, that they surge, because we have problems. And this next article is about problems. Here we have an article from CNN. The picture you're seeing is a picture of the research station at the South Pole. It's literally at the South Pole. The title is "Astonishing Antarctica Heat Wave Sends Temperatures 50 degrees Fahrenheit Above Normal." Temperatures since mid-July have climbed up to 50 degrees above normal in parts of Antarctica, and this could go on through the first half of August. The latest data shows highs in parts of East Antarctica, and by the way, as illogical as it sounds, the South Pole is in East Antarctica. The latest data shows highs in parts of East Antarctica that are typically between minus 58 degrees Fahrenheit and minus 76 degrees Fahrenheit are now closer to minus 13 degrees to minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit. So that means that the temperatures are, in fact, perhaps 50 degrees above what they should be. I think that has happened in other places, but not for an extended period of time. And I'm not sure what to make of this, but it doesn't sound good. Okay. We have an item from ABC News. And we have a picture of flooding this is in Montpelier, and it happened in 2023, so it's last year. But, you know, it's a picture of Montpelier flooded. Vermont suffered millions in damage from flooding and will ask federal help. That's the title. Vermont residents dealt with heavy flooding that damaged homes and infrastructure earlier this week and came after wider flooding just a couple of weeks before that. The toll of damage from recent flooding exceeds $6 million, and the state is asking the federal government for help. Okay. We're going to be talking about Tropical Storm Debby in a minute. Debby might drop another bomb on Montpelier in the next few days. It's still, when I last checked, Debby had still not reached North Carolina, but it's picking up speed going north. So Montpelier, Burlington, whatever, could conceivably have bad flooding for the third time in 2 months. I don't know. But this is the reason why, by the way, the state of Vermont is suing the fossil fuels industry, the various companies in the fossil fuels industry, looking for damages. And if it wins that suit, that could be very important on a more broad basis. We'll just have to see. But, you know, it's it can be devastating. And, you know, here in Brattleboro, well, after Hurricane Irene, which was Tropical Storm Irene when we suffered from it, I couldn't get to the co-op. I couldn't get to Price Chopper. I could get to Hannaford's, but you know, that's a long walk. And the city just didn't have much the town didn't have much going on in it. Okay, let's go on. We're up to Monday, August 5th. We have a picture of Elon Musk. And he looks like he's kind of, he looks like he's puzzled. This is from Yahoo. The title is "Free Speech Fears After Aussie Group Suspended by Elon Musk's Ex." Australian anti-nuclear campaigners have been suspended from billionaire Elon Musk's private-owned social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter. The decision has sparked fears about U.S. companies limiting free speech by environmental campaigners. This is something I find extremely disappointing. Elon Musk took over X because of freedom of speech issues. He didn't like the fact that X was not giving freedom of speech to everybody. And then he came in, and what did he do? Well, he started, and he was not alone in this, telling people that they couldn't put up anti-nuclear material. And that's a problem if they're going to do something like that. It wasn't just anti-nuclear material, by the way, and this is something that I find kind of interesting. The social media groups have been putting off not just anti-nuclear materials, but articles that supported electric vehicles. Now, why would Elon Musk want to put off articles that support electric vehicles? I don't know. Maybe he does and maybe he doesn't. But it's interesting, what he has done in the past has been to avoid advertising his cars from Tesla when everybody else was advertising. And he just chose a different way. What he's doing now is to say that he's not going to have articles that support electric vehicles, if that's what he's doing. I know that there are organizations that are doing it, and it may be that X is not doing it. Don't know. But it occurred to me that Tesla is down right now. Tesla has not had its sales increase at a time when just about everybody else has. So Tesla may still be the most popular electric vehicle in California, or whatever metric you want to use for that. But by not supporting papers or articles that say good things about electric vehicles, he doesn't have all that much that's good right now to say about electric vehicles of his. So he's maybe preventing his opposition from putting their good information up in front of the people. Anyway, we are up to our next article, which comes from Cosmos magazine. This is a picture of the operations of a glass blowing place. It's kind of hard to see anything there. The reason it's hard to see things is because the kiln where they're heating the glass is really hot. I used to operate kilns, not for glass blowing, but they were hot like this. And they were a different sort of thing. This is from Cosmos magazine. The title is Bronze Age Technology Makes Renewable Energy Shift Cheaper. Fire bricks emerged in the early Bronze Age around 4000 to 3000 BCE. They were first used to line kilns and have been used in furnaces since. They are more efficient and cheaper for storing heat for industrial processes like steel, cement, and glass making, according to researchers. It's hard for me to imagine that is the case, but it's easy for me to believe that, that this thing that I find difficult to imagine is actually in operation. So the reason why it's hard for me to imagine is because fire bricks are not they don't seem to be energy dense. Heating and cooling water is a big deal. If you take a milliliter of water at frozen at 0 degrees Celsius, 32 degrees Fahrenheit, ready to melt, and you heat it up so it becomes water, and then you heat it up so that it boils, and you boil it away. If you measure the amount of heat that you have put into it to accomplish that, taking it from frozen state to gaseous state, if you then put that amount of heat into a gram of steel and heat it up with that amount of heat from 0 degrees Celsius, it's going to be so hot you won't want to look at it. It'll be like that picture of the furnace for glass blowing. Water is hard to heat. There are a few other things that are hard to heat, but fire bricks, it just makes it difficult for me to imagine. Okay, our next picture is a picture of Brisbane, and there we go. This is from a publication called Real Commercial, and the title is Massive Wind Farm to Power 1 in 4 Capital City Homes. A massive wind farm approved northwest of Brisbane would power almost a quarter of the homes in Queensland's capital when fully operational. Queensland's capital, by the way, is Brisbane. The 436.5 megawatt Tarong West wind farm was granted approval by state and awaits federal approval of its environmental impact plan. I think it's very likely that approval is going to be granted. I think, in fact, it's very unlikely that it would not be granted. Let me put it that way. The federal government in Australia is trying to get as much renewable energy as possible into place, and state governments in Australia that are operated by the Liberal Party or by the coalition, which is the Liberal Party and the National Party. I think it's the National Party. Very often agree with the Labor national government rather than the more conservative Liberal National Party, because they see the economic advantages. This was first really evident in South Australia, which the Liberal Party, I'm getting all confused here because the Liberals are conservatives and the Conservatives are, it's different than it is in the United States in terms of titles. Anyway, let me escape from that. Tuesday, August 6th, we're up to Tuesday, and we have a picture of a Porsche showing how the Porsche's batteries are there. This article came from Clean Technica. The title is EV Battery Pack Costs 90% Lower in 2023 than in 2008, 15 years ago. The US DOE's Vehicle Technology Office estimates the cost of EV lithium-ion battery pack for a light-duty vehicle declined 90% between 2008 and 2023 based on 2023 constant dollars. The estimated cost for 2023 is $139 per kilowatt hour, compared to a cost of $1,415 per kilowatt hour in 2008. So it fell from $1,415 to $139. which is a fall of actually a little bit more than 90%. This is really an important part of the reason why electric vehicles have become much more prevalent across the world. Okay, our next item is Hurricane Debby. Let me put this up so you can see it. Hurricane Debby hit not far from Tallahassee, in the Bend, it's called, area of Florida. Right now, or at least this morning, when the reports were published that I looked at today, Hurricane Debby was, the center of it was over South Carolina. And what you see here is projected rainfall in South Carolina, North Carolina, and so far north. It shows us in Brattleboro getting a lot of rain. I believe that has shifted to the west. Nevertheless, this is an indication of something that we should pay attention to. Let me read the article. This is from ABC News. The title is Tropical Storm Debby, Live Updates. Historic 10 to 20 inches of rainfall expected. Debby has weakened over land, but it's still a tropical storm producing maximum sustained wind speeds of 45 miles per hour. Debby is expected to be stuck over the southeast for the better part of the week, bringing historic rain as it meanders over Georgia and the Carolinas. Now, Debby is right now starting to move a little bit more quickly, and I think it will move up to us sometime around Saturday. Today's Thursday. Friday it will be in motion, and I think it will arrive on Saturday. And I think this is an important event for a bunch of reasons. But the thing that makes it really important is that this indicates this was a Category 1 hurricane. It's not a Category 5 or even a Category 3. It's not a major hurricane, which is Categories 3, 4, or 5. This is a relatively mild hurricane. But because it is moving slowly, which hurricanes are tending to do more and more, it's bringing a lot of rain with it. Now, I've got notes here. Last landfall on Monday, August 5th in Florida. Today, Thursday, August 8th, it's still in South Carolina. It has dropped 17.3 inches of rain in Summerville, South Carolina. The rain has not stopped yet. 17.3 inches of rain had fallen. That's a problem. It's expected to reach Vermont on Saturday and bring us 2 to 4 inches. Okay, 2 to 4 inches we can kind of live with if that's what happens. But it can be a problem, you know, and this is something that's going to happen more and more as we go on. Okay. Renews has brought us this item. Sonera secures a site for its 800 megawatt Formosa 6. Sonera Renewables Energy has announced, let me put that up for you. That's not, you know, Sonera, it's just a boat with a wind farm. But Sonera Renewable Energy has announced its Formosa 6 offshore wind farm off Taiwan has been awarded 800 megawatts of development capacity. Formosa 6 will be situated approximately 35 kilometers off the coast of Jiangxi, or Xianxi Township, Changhua County, and I'm pronouncing Chinese badly because that's all I know to do, spanning an area of about 84 square kilometers. So that is what's happening there. It's just one more piece of renewable energy being installed. Taiwan, as I recall, is not interested in building new nuclear plants. And so they are very interested in offshore wind farms, onshore wind farms, solar, and so forth. So that is that. We're up to Wednesday, August 7th, which is yesterday. And this particular project, this particular project that you see, let me put it up, is really interesting. This article is from PV Magazine International. What you see is a floating, it's a mobile floating solar power plant. The title of the article is Mobile Floating PV Plant Powers Paris Olympic Village. It is the largest floating and mobile solar power plant in the world. You see it right there. Moored on the banks of the Seine, the temporary PV installation, rented especially for the Olympics Games by energy company EDF ENR to a subsidiary, helps supply electricity to the Olympic and Paralympic Square. That plant, by the way, has a capacity of 78 kilowatts, which is, well, it's not huge, but it does make a difference, and they are using it to help, not to power exclusively, but to help with the Olympic Village. Okay, the next item, we have a picture of a wind farm delivery by drone. This is from Renews. The title is Ørsted deploys cargo lift drones. Ørsted is deploying heavy lift cargo drones for the first time at the Borssele 1 and 2 offshore wind farm. This move marks a significant step in the operational efficiency and safety, the Danish developer said. The heavy lift cargo drone will transport cargo from a vessel to all 94 wind turbines of the Borssele wind farm. And I have a note, which is the cargo capacity of the vessel is 100 kilograms, which is 220 pounds. Now, what you're seeing in this picture, if you look on the right side of the picture, there is a small blob that appears kind of near the horizon, reddish. That is a box that contains some amount of material that has to be delivered to the top of the wind farm. And it's a problem to get these things to wind turbines. They have to be carried up to the top of the wind turbine somehow. 220 pounds is really too much for one or more human beings to carry up inside the mast. So that it has to be taken up by a crane or a cargo drone. Now, the crane could be a small crane on the top of the turbine, but I don't see a crane there. I don't think turbines normally have cranes on the top. The crane could be a crane from a crane ship, but that's an expensive use of a crane ship. And what they're doing is they're saying that they can deliver cargo from a ship to any of 94 wind turbines in the Borssele wind farm. And that's what they're doing. Okay, we are up to, I believe, our last item. It is our last item. This is an article from Clean Technica, and we have a picture there of the Block Island wind farm. The title is New England's offshore wind resource is a wind power resource. That's a funny use of words. A resource is a resource. I should have noticed that and changed it to something else. Offshore wind is an important all year round for zero carbon electricity, pollution reduction, job creation, and much more. But it's in the winter that offshore wind will make a great contribution to the power system, cold weather demand can be met by cold weather power. Now, what is happening here is that the author at Clean Technica is saying we have a problem with in New England with and it is especially a problem. It's not just New England, but it's especially a problem in New England because we have limited resources in terms of gas. Natural gas is piped in through pipelines, but the pipelines are running almost at full capacity during the winter when it's cold, when we need the electricity and we also need heat. We're getting rid of coal, thank goodness. So what do we notice? Well, it turns out that and I don't remember which organization it was that said this. It was, I don't think it was the Sierra Club. I think it was the Union of Concerned Scientists said they had done some research. I apologize if it wasn't the Union of Concerned Scientists. Whoever it was did the research and they found that 2 offshore wind farms would basically set up New England so that it doesn't need to install another pipeline for natural gas. Natural gas is something that we should be getting rid of, not installing. At any rate, the installation is something that is the offshore wind farms, and the offshore wind farms are being installed much faster than the natural gas pipeline would be installed. Okay, we're up to our last slide, which is just a slide saying have an unusually lovely week. And I'm going to say, please do that. Please have an unusually lovely week. Come back next time, and I will say goodbye to you. Bye-bye.